Hello, my name is Preston Thomas, and this is episode 35 of The Way of Jesus. This episode reviews Daniel chapters 2 and 7, and then moves to his vision in chapter 8. This vision begins with an outline of the history of the empires of Persia and Greece. After representing his conquest of Persia, Alexander the Great died, and his Greek empire was divided into 4 parts. Immediately following this division of Alexander's empire, Daniel's vision skips forward to modern times and the time of the end. It reveals that out of one of these 4 divisions of Alexander's empire, the Antichrist will arise and work his evil on the world until Melchizedek comes and destroys him. In the study of prophecy, Daniel chapter 2, which describes Daniel's interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the great image, is an excellent place to begin. It depicts the entire sweep of the history of the Western world, without any gaps, from the time of the Babylonian Empire through to today's world. It identifies the kingdoms that succeeded Babylon as Persia, Greece, Rome, and Rome divided into its constituent provinces, which evolved into the modern states of Europe. It ends with the kingdom of God, which destroys the imperial and secular kingdoms of men and rules forever. Daniel chapter 7 pictures the same succession of kingdoms: Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, Rome divided, and the kingdom of God. The first 4 empires are pictured as a lion, a bear, a leopard, and a terrible and dreadful beast with great iron teeth. Rome divided is represented by the 10 horns on the beast's head. Daniel chapter 7 provides us with more information regarding the end of the unjust and corrupt kingdoms of men by introducing us to their final ruler, the secular Antichrist, and his fate. Daniel chapter 7 also introduces us to the superhuman conqueror of the Antichrist, the divine being who is sent from heaven to defeat the forces of evil and then rule the nations in Jesus' name forever. This divine son is Melchizedek, who in earlier times functioned as Abraham's high priest and God's messenger of the covenant. He is the material, conquering Messiah of Jewish prophecy who brings to earth the outer political rule of God, in contrast to Jesus, who is the spiritual, suffering Messiah who taught the rule of the Father Spirit in our hearts. Jesus established the inner spiritual kingdom of God. Melchizedek will institute the outer political kingdom of God. Daniel's vision in chapter 8 occurs in the 3rd year of the co-reign of King Belshazzar, which would be around 551 BC, just 12 years before the fall of Babylon to the combined forces of Media and Persia under Cyrus the Great. The vision focuses on 2 of the 4 great empires pictured in Daniel chapters 2 and 7, Persia and Greece. After symbolizing the coming of the Persian and Grecian empires, the vision depicts the breakup of the Grecian Empire at the death of Alexander into 4 separate kingdoms. Unlike Daniel chapters 2 and 7, the vision then skips Rome and its eventual evolution into separate nation states and moves directly forward to modern times and the time of the end. The vision begins with Daniel seeing a ram with 2 horns. in which the larger horn came up last, charging westward and northward and southward, and no beast could stand before it. Gabriel interprets the vision for Daniel and reveals that the ram which you saw with the two horns, these are the kings of Media and Persia. In 553 BC, Cyrus the Great, king of the small Median province of Persia, overthrew his Median overlords and initiated the Medo-Persian Empire. He conquered Babylon to the west, Lydia to the north, and Egypt to the south. Next, Daniel sees a he-goat that came from the west and had a conspicuous horn between his eyes. Gabriel reveals that the he-goat is the king of Greece, and the great horn between his eyes is the first king. Next, Daniel sees the he-goat run at the ram in his mighty wrath and cast him down to the ground and trample upon him. This symbolizes the conquest of the Persian Empire by Greece under Alexander the Great. Daniel then continues his description of the vision. But when he, that is Alexander, was strong, the great horn was broken, and instead of it there came up four conspicuous horns towards the four winds of heaven. Gabriel interprets this verse as follows: As for the horn that was broken, in place of which four others arose, 4 kingdoms shall arise from his nation, but not with his power. Alexander died of a raging fever in 323 BC, and his empire was divided into 4 kingdoms by 4 of his generals. These 4 kingdoms that were represented by the 4 conspicuous horns towards the 4 winds of heaven were Macedonia, Greece to the west, Asia Minor, modern Turkey, to the north, Syria to the east, and Egypt to the south. When Daniel first seeks to understand the vision, Gabriel cautions him. Understand, O Son of Man, that the vision is for the time of the end. This focus on the time of the end begins with Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. Here the vision moves directly from the time of the breaking of the great horn into 4 lesser horns to the time of the end. Daniel states, Out of one of them there came forth a little horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the glorious land. It grew great, even to the host of heaven, and some of the host of the stars it cast down to the ground, and trampled upon them. It magnified itself, even up to the Prince of Hosts, and the continual burnt offering was taken away from him, and the place of his sanctuary was overthrown, and the host was given over to it, together with the continual burnt offering through transgression. And truth was cast down to the ground, and the horn acted and prospered. Daniel 8, 9 through 12. This latter part of the vision tells us that out of one of the 4 conspicuous horns towards the 4 winds of heaven, there came forth a little horn. This little horn symbolizes the one whom the New Testament identifies as the Antichrist. He acted and prospered. The Antichrist grew exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, and toward the glorious land. He cast down truth, overcame the hosts, and even cast down some of the hosts of heaven. He overthrew the sanctuary in Jerusalem and took away the continual burnt offering. He even magnified himself up to the Prince of Hosts, Jesus. Gabriel interprets the meaning of the previous verses as follows. As for the horn that was broken, in place of which 4 others arose, 4 kingdoms shall arise from his nation, but not with his power. And at the latter end of their rule, when transgressors have reached their full measure, a king of bold countenance, one who understands riddles, shall arise. His power shall be great, and he shall cause fearful destruction, and shall succeed in what he does, and destroy mighty men and the people of the saints. By his cunning he shall make deceit prosper under his hand, and in his own mind he shall magnify himself. Without warning he shall destroy many, and he shall even rise up against the Prince of Princes, but by no human hand he shall be broken. Daniel 8:22-25. In Daniel 8:23, Gabriel's interpretation moves forward from the time of the 4 Greek kingdoms to the present day. Gabriel reveals that at the latter end of the 4 kingdoms, when transgressors have reached their full measure, the Antichrist will appear. He will be bold, understand riddles, and gain great power. He will succeed in what he does, cause great destruction, destroy mighty men and the people of the saints. He will be cunning, work in deceitful ways, and destroy many. He will magnify himself and even rise up against Jesus, the Prince of Princes. But by no human hand he shall be broken. In summary, this vision tells the same basic story as Daniel chapters 2 and 7. After a time of great trouble and tribulation, there will come an end to the secular, evil, and corrupt rule of men over the nations of the earth. This will occur when the world has filled up its cup of evil, when the transgressors have reached their full measure. Then will arise a most evil ruler, a powerful secular dictator who will succeed in what he does and destroy mighty men and the people of the saints. But, as in Daniel chapters 2 and 7, this Antichrist will be broken by no human hand. Melchizedek and his angelic forces will come down from heaven, destroy the Antichrist, and then rule the nations forever as the vice-regent of Jesus, the Prince of Princes. The vision affirms the same great good news we find in Daniel chapters 2 and 7. The imperial, unjust, nefarious kingdoms of men will be replaced by the everlasting rule of righteousness, the kingdom of God. This concludes episode 35. The subject of episode 36 is Daniel chapter 9 and the prophecy of the 70 weeks. In closing, I invite you to order my book, The Life and Teachings of Jesus, which is available from Amazon.com. Here's what one reviewer had to say about this book. I want to personally thank Preston Thomas for writing this book. Because he wrote this book, I can now once again read the words of Christ, and I can read about his life and the events which took place in his life without all the embellished contents which have been added onto his life story in the Holy Bible. On Amazon, you can also order the abridged audiobook and the ebook edition. This book is also available online at thelifeandteachingsofjesus.org. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, may God bless you and be with you.